Welcome to See For Yourself, coming at you straight from the mobility scooter capital of the world. I'm your host, Hardcorey, and joined with me on this third episode of AniMay, Isaac is with us. Say hi, buddy.
What up, what up?
And taking a break from slaying ladies, Jake manages to sit down and watch anime with us to talk about it. What's up, Jake?
Absolutely. What's up?
Just, doing a podcast with you guys. I know I asked that first, so it's kind of unfair for me to turn that back around. But we watched Apocalypse Zero, the OVA. This is a 1996 production based on a manga by Takayuki Yamaguchi, who was active from 1990 to the present, I believe. I haven't actually read any of his other manga, but he's been at it the whole time. This particular manga ran from 94 to 96, so they kicked out this OVA right afterward. I guess prior to its actual conclusion, because the OVA ends at a point that's a little bit of a cliffhanger in the manga, and it continues on for, this is probably about, I'm going to say, the first 2/3 or 3/5 of the manga. This is where the OVA ends, and so there's a little bit more afterward. You can kind of, like I was telling you guys earlier, you can kind of figure where it ends up and what happens. There are a little bit of surprises along the way, but nothing particularly twisty. I tried to find some more stuff that. No.
You don't need to read the manga to watch it.
Not at all.
You can understand it.
Right. You can enjoy it very much for what it is. A little bit different from the Gaunt Zero, which I am going to reference here again in a little bit. But I looked for more work that Mr. Yamaguchi might have done outside of his manga, and I didn't find anything besides he designed an extra costume for Kazuya in Tekken 6. Kind of a weird thing to get picked up for. A little bit of a guest spot, though, and it is the second time that Tekken has popped up, right? Because the studio that did Gaunt Zero also did mocap for one of the, at least a couple of the Tekken games, actually. So fun that shows up again. I do like Tekken, but anyway, let's get into this movie. This movie is, look, I already referenced Gaunt Zero. Bring it up again. We agreed that Gaunt Zero was visually the most insane thing that we'd ever seen, right? But now this is crazy too, but in a different way, right? Because Gaunt Zero, when I watch that, my brain tries to make sense of what I'm seeing based on comparing it to stuff that I've actually seen in real life because of how realistic the CG is, right?
Sure.
This doesn't look like real life at all because it's hand-drawn with a very exaggerated manga style. But the stuff that happens to these characters and what some of the characters themselves look like is really, really fuck nuts. It's crazy, but in a very different way from Gaunt Zero. I'm still not going to give it most insane, but it's visually still one of the wilder things that we've ever seen. Are we all on the same page with that?
Yeah,
it's definitely a very new style.
I don't watch much anime, but yeah, that was crazier than anything I've ever seen.
Yeah, it is. It's pretty visually nuts. The art. What do you guys think of the actual art style? Because I love the character. I like how they do the faces. I like how they do the animation, especially like the whenever Kakugo gets into his armor suit. I like how they do the shading on it. It's always real vibrant with like very deep shadows and like very bright like light diffusion on different surfaces.
Yeah, anytime he does something like a special move or something, it does have those super colorful like backgrounds that kind of fade across the whole screen.
Yeah, all that. And even though the suit is like all black or dark gray, it's kind of like a gunmetal. They make it, they show it's kind of like, I don't know if it's iron or steel, but they do a good job of showing like it's sort of reflective texture. But anyway, we're talking about stuff that we haven't even introduced yet. So Kakugo is the main character in this. In the very beginning of the movie, he's fighting a bear with like many tits hanging off of it. Pretty wild opening scene, but this takes place in a future where an earthquake has devastated the planet. And we're in the ruins of, I believe it's Tokyo, because that's usually the city that gets ruined in a disaster, right? And this is a world where this is clearly an allusion to the atomic bombs, right? We're going to get this again, just like with Demon City Shinjuku, which is another thing I'm going to bring up a couple of times for comparison. But this is clearly a post-atomic world that these people are living in, right? Because there's radiation mutating creatures and people, and there's vagrancy and, demons present, and just all kinds of chaos and hardships that a handful of people are trying to overcome by sticking to their traditional Japanese structure of going to high school, right? Even though the high school is run by I don't know if he's actually the principal, but he's their teacher, and he is a little bit of he's the little bit of a perv, right? He likes watching the girls in their swimsuits, and he drinks on the job pretty heavily, it seems like. Yeah. Now, yeah, so we watched this dubbed, which we haven't done so far, right? Because I normally am opposed to dubs. But we watched this one dubbed. What did you guys think of the English voice acting?
I thought it was actually really good. The screams definitely of people dying and stuff. Those were realistic as fuck. And some of the one-liners that they say in their voice, especially, makes it so fucking sick.
It does come off as very cool. I totally agree with the screams. Well, because there's a lot of reasons for people to be screaming in this world, and the characters screaming, they definitely went really overboard. In the VA booth, you could tell that they were having a good time with how exaggerated they were making this stuff, but it fits perfect. It just slots perfectly into the whole aesthetic and vibe of this world, right?
Yeah, it's definitely terrible. It's an agony.
Even the characters, like the main character and all of the side characters, they sounded like voices that people nowadays will mock when they're doing there's dudes on like Call of Duty who will pretend to be like anime characters when a girl talks on mic, and they'll be like, "Wow, I can't believe a girl's talking to me. I sure hope she notices me." And it's the voices from that movie, from that show, sounded just like that shit.
Yes, that's exactly who these dudes are. Yeah.
Yeah, it was perfect. Everything was good. Even all the enemies, all the monsters, the demons had perfect voices. That one fat ass scary rapist lady demon had the perfect psychotic voice and laugh. The laughter could not be mimicked with a Japanese voice, I don't think.
Yeah, I wonder because I've never actually watched this with the original Japanese VAs, but I didn't feel like I needed to. I'm sure that it's good, but I loved how they did this one because, like you said, it is cartoonishly exaggerated because this is a cartoonishly exaggerated world, right? And even though it looks so cartoony, the visual insanity comes from the portrayal of hyper violent, gory death and injury that
crazy.
Every handful of minutes we get something that's just so violent it's sickening, and it's happening to these characters that are just way too cutely drawn for one thing, but also there's so much purity and innocence in these school kids. It is horrific what the kind of things that they go through, and none of it is like played for laughs or like a joke or anything. It's just straight extreme and crazy. But anyway, we'll get into the specifics of it. We'll get back to Kakugo here in his introduction. He's in some kind of snowy wasteland fighting this big-titted bear. He punches it and gets blood on him, which is acidic, and his father pops in, who's right there with him, to say you can't beat it just by punching it because it's acid blood will burn you. And he declares that his scars shall be, a testament to his victory?
Yeah, something like that.
So that's just that pretty much cements his character right off the bat, that he doesn't care what happens to him so long as he's able to become strong enough to be the defender of the weak. And his brother, though, Harara, takes over to kill this bear. It really overkills it, as a matter of fact. He's got some kind of special martial arts ability that is like a spiral power that seems to be really good at sucking people's guts out of their body. Is that the basis of it?
You think so? Yeah, it really just pulls their intestines out of their whatever orifice she chooses.
Yeah, yeah, it's pretty rough. She kills the shit out of this bear, though. Literally blows it to pieces. It turns it inside out. And
she kills it with the internal heart attack move, and then goes overkill and rips its intestines out, and then she gets, fuck.
yeah, this is going to be a complicated thing because Hararo looks like he has a woman's body through most of the story here. And this is a consequence of now Hararo is born a boy, and their oddly developed body, it becomes hermaphroditic after it fuses with a fortified armor shell, which we're gonna get into in a little bit. Actually, we'll just explain it right now. The father here, who I don't really remember if they named him, but I didn't write it down if they did. The father of Kakugo and Harara was part of the World War II era forces working on developing super weapons for Japan. And he managed to infuse suits of armor with souls of dead soldiers. And he has two armor suits, Zero and Kasumi, which I don't know if you guys ever picked this up, but how many times you will see a character in Japanese media named Zero? Like basically two pop up off the top of my head, which is the Wing Zero from Gundam Wing, and then you've got, of course, Zero from Mega Man X. But this name comes from the Zero Fighter, which was the absolute top tier prop driven fighter aircraft developed for World War II. There's actually a really interesting story about its development in a Miyazaki movie. I can't remember the name of the movie off the top of my head, but he details sort of a dramatized version of the life of the engineer who develops a Zero fighter, including coming up with just amazing ways to boost his performance. Like instead of using rivets to hold the body plating together, he comes up with a way to make like little recessions in the plating, and then drive a rivet into it so that it's flush to increase aerodynamic efficiency just by like a handful of points of a percentage. Very cool. It's a very cool movie. And
I love our aerodynamic efficiency, especially when it comes from a train blowing past my house.
Doesn't sound that aerodynamically efficient, but
when you look at them, it's not at all.
It's not. Have you ever gone out there to stand on a bridge? Okay. Have you ever gone out there to stand on a bridge when a train goes by?
No, but you told me about that once, and it sounds exhilarating, and I just don't have the right substances for that.
Well, I've done it a few times. You should just go out sometime and feel it. If you want to talk about aerodynamics, it's fun. But anyway, that's where the Zero comes from, and that's what the fortified armor shells are. We see that Kakugo and Harara are training to use these things. Meanwhile, or actually, that was a little bit of a flashback. We're in the current timeline right now in Tokyo. It's fucking devastated. All the buildings are destroyed and leaning all crazy against each other. The streets are all torn up, and it looks like an absolute wasteland. But there's a girl out there hanging out with her boyfriend, innocently admiring a flower, when she gets grabbed by a mutant. And these things are called tactical evils. And these are demonic mutants that are genetically modified and created by Harara. And this thing comes up. You know what, Isaac, you explain what this thing looks like.
Dude, it looks like Jinx from Pokemon, but if the creators didn't make like a game for children. It's got Lickitung's attack. It's horrific. I don't even. What else can I say?
It is horrific. It's a big fat. Yeah, it's a big fat woman in like a weird leather corset with her tits hanging out and a horrible, gigantic face with huge floppy lips and red hair sticking out everywhere. It's just like I've never seen a cartoon drawn that disgusting, but that's what it is. So
yep.
She grabs this little girl and squeezes her until her fucking guts pop out of her mouth and her blood and intestines rain down on her boyfriend. She
critiques the girl for not being so pretty on the outside, and like asks the boy friend. She asks him like, "Why are you with this like pig? She's not even that pretty." Squeezes her to death. Her guts fall all over the boyfriend. And then the tactical evil's like, "Oh, I guess she's not even that pretty on the inside." either.
Yeah.
Fucking freaky, dude. She's just like, she kills all women and rapes all men.
Yes, it's horrific.
horrible.
So, but we see here that the tactical evils are kind of an analog of like the 7 deadly sins, right? Where this one specifically is like jealousy.
Yeah, that's lust.
Lust and jealousy specifically.
I don't know if jealousy is a sin, one of the 7 deadlies. I know lust is,
envy.
though.
Oh yes,
Envy
you're
is
right.
synonymous with jealousy.
Maybe
Right.
it's envy.
It is envy. Now these, I'm not saying these are based off of the 7 deadly sins as we know them, but they are just clearly vices. Like all of these things are mutated into horrible monsters that embody vices.
Right.
So we'll get into more of them as they get introduced. But let's see here. The boyfriend gets taken, and we don't see what happens for a little bit. Meanwhile, Kakugo, he arrives at this high school and introduced to the class. This is kind of a typical new kid at school thing. Like, what could he be like? This guy is so severe, and like, I'm going to compare this to Demon City Shinjuku again. Or rather, compare him to Kato from Gauntlet Zero, where he is just so extremely lawful good that his personality should, for all intents and purposes, come off as flat and boring, but he's actually real fucking cool, right?
Definitely.
Just so severe and strict and stiff, but he's got this fiery resolve that you can't help but be drawn to. And he gets sat next to Horia, who is a girl known for wearing a big red bow, and she is so optimistic and carefree to the extent that you'd think she was stupid. She's actually not, but she immediately gets drenched for Kakugo sitting next to him. He doesn't care. He is totally immune to the wiles of women, as we'll see later on with another tactical evil. But nobody likes this guy because the big, strong alpha male of the class who likes Horia immediately dislikes Kakugo. So everybody is kind of simping for the alpha male dude. And so they just kind of turn on Kakugo. He gets beat up later on by the alpha male guy, and that kind of makes everybody dislike him more, which is just a weird, I guess, high school kid thing. So we see that his first day at school doesn't go super well for him. Meanwhile, it's going even worse for the guy who got abducted by the tactical evil. She's got him in bed, straddling him, and sucks his face off. Just the skin of his face. Yeah, it comes completely off his body, and his
extremely
muscles are
disgusting and disturbing.
very disgusting. His muscles are exposed, and he's just screaming and screaming while he's chained up to this bed. They like purposely zoom in on his hands as they're like his fingers are like clenching as he's getting his face sucked off, and there's like blood on the manacles that are holding him, and like blood on the pillow and stuff where he's clearly been trying to rip his wrists free. Very just I don't know, very, very intense details that they decide to show. Yeah. So she's this tactical evil mutant sews his face over one of her nipples, which is just a hard thing to understand. It's just a hard thing to understand. I'm not going to look too deeply into it. It's clearly the artist was just aiming for whatever was most horrific, and he nailed it super well. Not too much of a deeper reason for this. She comes after Horia now, as Horia's on her way home from school with the alpha male and a handful of the other students, and she thinks she grabs, or she starts to attack Horia, saying that she must be a slut for having the attention of 3 men. So that the mutants got this kind of like inverted notion of purity, right? Where she thinks that somebody who is promiscuous is deserving of being killed, despite her actions. But anyway, Kakugo shows up real quick and blocks her kick. And they get into a fight where she pulls out all kinds of crazy attacks. There's a Godzilla reference where she grows these glowing spines out of her back so that she can breathe fire. But it's absolutely no match for Kakugo in his zero armor. He absolutely devastates her. Punches her in the gut. She falls over backwards and spews like something. It's like a broken fire hydrant when like you run over a fire hydrant in a video game and it
Everybody's
sprays
done
water
that.
everywhere.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know,
video game.
well, yeah, of course you're supposed to hit them in video games. Try it in real life. It
Right.
looks relatively similar, but vomit sprays out of her, and all these skeletons shoot out, and the also the dude that she was molesting on her bed shoots out too, and his skin is like half melted off of his body, and his face is just like raw, and his bones are exposed. And poor Horia runs out into the pool of acid vomit and holds him and says, "You'll be okay."
Man.
He starts hugging him, and it's like he's just sitting there with his jaw like wide open, like
Yeah.
like, about to die.
Dude.
Absolutely extreme.
God.
Anyway, she gets back up and tells Kakugo that love means two becoming one. And what that entails is her devouring everybody that she loves. So Kakugo says, your love is an invasion, and your definition is corrupt. So he kicks her in the face, and her brain pops out of the back of her head. And he says, rest in peace. So I just love that this starts.
Yeah, man.
Every single time he kills one of these mutants, he says something super badass, which I love. And it usually gets like a cool pose where there's like a glint of light that kind of like streaks across his armor, or something like that, which is just such a classic Japanese superhero thing. I'm going to bring this up real quick. Comparing this to Demon City Shinjuku, we talked about how in Shinjuku there was a whole bunch of very, very traditional classic tropes, right? About like the master and the student rivalry, and then like the son taking up the sword of his forebear, and like there's also another thing with using power only to protect others rather than seeking gain for yourself, which I'll bring that up later. But I wanted to point out how similar it is that so many tropes are used in this, but they're a little bit more modernized. Whereas with Shinjuku, it was almost more like mythical, with the way that they dredged up these extremely old archetypal tropes to just make sense of the basic good versus evil conflict, and show how evil is just a perversion of what could be used for good. And here it's kind of the same thing, but we have a lot more of a modernized take on it, with like, it's such a typical anime thing of like, oh, new kid at school, who is he? What's his deal? Why is he so like that? And then also like the sort of masked savior with a hidden personality, even though it should be obvious to everybody. Like when he jumps in to save Horia and he tells her to get back, she's like, oh, I recognize that voice, who could it be? When it's like, I mean, duh.
Hello.
Oh
Shit. Yeah, you cut out for a minute. I don't know if it was just me.
No, you cut out for like 5 seconds for me too.
Anyway, I wasn't saying anything critical, but it was just about are you all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Are you good?
You just sat back and went, oh.
Oh no. I was just readjusting. I was leaning back too hard. I'm pretty drunk.
No.
Good.
Okay. All right. Anyway, I wanted to point out how this is a similar story to Shinjuku in that it has a lot of what you could definitely consider extremely generic, stereotypical plot beats and characters, but it succeeds for the same reason, because it paints such a clear and concise picture between what it means to do good for others and what it means to serve yourself, right?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for validating.
Yeah, and as we established talking about Demon City Shinjuku, you can still have simplicity and it works. So it's definitely not a bad thing.
No, there's nothing bad about it.
As long as you do it very well, and they do.
I think so too. Yeah, I think so too. We'll get to it in the end. About how well they actually do it. But after this, we get a chance to see Harara, and what he's been doing ever since, their training. And Harara is in this gigantic, evil, alien-looking castle up on a cliff, which is exactly how an evil villain should roll. And they are talking to their army of henchmen, which give off extremely fascist vibes. Like if you look at the costumes of of Hitler's shock troops or Mussolini's crew, you'll see that they all have this same kind of thing, even down to the masks. They have like skull masks, and they're all hiling her basically. And she's telling all of them that their goal. I'm sorry, I said she. It's easy because of how prominent they make her breasts. If you want to say she, just by looking at it,
she strips down and it's a female form. What are you supposed to do?
Yeah, technically it's a he. It's a hermaphrodite, but everybody calls Harara he in the manga.
You can't spell hermaphrodite without her.
You're right, or math, which is what I call adding numbers together because I'm stupid.
Damn, let him cook.
No, I'm done. That was a microwave. Hot pocket. That wasn't cooking. Harara's goal is to. You gotta be quiet now. Harara's goal is to seek global harmony between all elements on Earth, because he claims that nature thrives in perfect synchronization without the interference of humans and their will. Humans are the ones that are causing disharmony in the natural order. So their goal is to just kill all humans, which is ironic, right? Because if humans are the ones that are killing and destroying, this is the kind of thing where it's like, well, we can get rid of murderers if we just kill them. It's that sort of fighting fire with fire logic, right? So it's obvious that Harara's philosophy doesn't make sense. And if that wasn't enough, they make it clear that he's just all about killing people when they bring in, I think, like 6 of the strongest fighters that they could find just for Harara to practice moves on. And he fucking obliterates them.
He practiced the whole palace and everything to them if they won.
Yes, he brings people in and promises his throne to anybody that can beat him. And of course they can't. They get fucking turned into goop.
All with the same attack.
All in the same attack. The spiral thing where she basically just like smacks somebody with his palm and then just like draws it away and creates some kind of vortex vacuum that sucks all their guts out of all their bodily cavities. Beautiful, beautiful stuff.
Those are some serious fighters too. One of the guys killed 63 wrestlers in 1 second.
Yeah.
That was insane.
That was his brag. Good. Thank you for remembering that, because that was an awesome brag. Little illustration of how strong Harara really is. Anyway, after that, Harara learns that Kakugo is present in Tokyo. This seems to be a surprise, and we'll figure out why later on. In the meantime, the high school class is attacked again by one of Harara's tactical evil mutants, and this thing is, so this thing is a giant, right? Big-headed, fat giant, wears a leather daddy outfit, and has a tongue that's like kind of a long plant vine with a mouth at the end of it, sort of like a xenomorph mouth, but it's like prehensile. And it also has Homer Simpson's voice. Did you guys notice that?
No way. I noticed something. Was that seriously his voice actor?
I didn't look it up. I don't really think it is, but this is what he comes off sounding like.
He sounded like you killed my flower in the ground.
Yeah, how did you do that to my individuality?
Stage left.
Yeah, I turned into Snaggletooth there. They have some similarities, Homer Simpson and Snaggletooth.
No, definitely. It was just that. What's the deal with airplane food? Like if Snagglepuss was fucking Jerry Seinfeld mixed with the frog.
Yeah, and Homer Simpson.
Yeah, of course. I wonder those kind of voices. I wonder what they sounded like in the original audio. But the American one was fucking perfect.
Yes, really perfect, and it just so outrageous. Anyway,
ridiculous.
Kakugo pops up again in the Zero armor and destroys the thing's tongue, which has popped out of the ground, and then it makes its entrance, and it's way bigger than the first tactical evil he fought. But it wraps him up with another tongue. Apparently, it can regenerate, or it has multiple tongues, and it wraps him up and starts electrocuting him. And then it pulls off its penis, which seems to be attached to a cable, and starts singing into it like a microphone.
True.
And talking about how its individuality is super important and expressing itself is important. So here we have another very, very conservative condemnation of self-expression to the point where it becomes offensive to other people. That's the only way that I can read this. But Zero, Kakugo activates the Zero power and busts out of the tongue, and then evaporates it with a dehydration powder. He just kind of like sprinkles it all over its body because it has like a power plant in it that'll explode if he tries to use any kind of energy weapons. And so it just sort of shrivels to a formless mess, and Kakugo lands, and you can see him silhouetted amidst the dust of the monster's remnants. And he says, "You are nothing. Let the wind carry you away."
Boom.
And I specifically put down in my notes at that point, Jake said, "This is too cool."
So sick.
It really is.
Dude.
Then we get
a
a
Big Lebowski when they sprinkle Donnie's ashes and
yeah,
they
just
blow back
blows
in
in
the
everybody's
news.
face. Yeah, right. So having taken care of that, we get another flashback now showing that Harara murdered his and Kakugo's father, as the father was wearing his own fortified armor shell. Then Kakugo tried to avenge their father by fighting Harara, and Harara chucked Kakugo off a cliff as he was barfing up his own stomach. So,
God, yeah, that's the worst fucking hernia I'd ever seen.
yeah, here we get another mirror with Demon City Shinjuku, right? Where two people trained by the same person. One decides that the power is not enough and it should be used for one's personal gain, and defeats the one who decided that it was only proper to use the power to protect others, and throws him off a cliff. Right? It's the exact same thing that happened at the beginning of Demon City Shinjuku.
True.
Classic story. And that's the end of part 1. Pause real quick, and I'll throw our little
God damn, dude. I think we stopped recording.
No.
Oh,
no, we didn't.
Still recording.
So at the beginning of part 2, we get a flashback of Kakugo and Harara as they're adapting to their fortified armor shells for the first time. And it says that they sit in some kind of cryo chamber for 3 days straight with no food or water at 70 below zero, which I assume is Fahrenheit, but not something that a human body ought to be able to endure.
no matter what.
No, but it's just sort of to demonstrate how harsh their training by their father was. Now, we don't really see what happens to Harara during this time. We see Kakugo, and he senses that Zero has some kind of feeling in it, that it's not just a piece of machinery. And he touches it and says it's so cold, and then he lays his naked body on it to give it warmth as it cries tears of blood.
He notices that there was like guts and flesh inside of it when it was ripped open on the floor.
That's right, because right after this, the armor actually responds to him, and it pops open, and he makes a mention that it looks like it has internal organs, and then the armor sort of like falls to pieces in a really gross way, actually. And he starts donning the armor, and they really convey how painful it is to do this, because he shows him slide the gauntlet on
system and everything.
Yeah, because it's got like tendrils that slide into his body and fuse with his nervous system.
Yeah. I think its own muscles cramped their whole like arms and legs.
Yeah, he said it clamped down to the point where it would break bone, or it would shatter his limbs, but it didn't.
Right.
So it was that strong.
Right. The armor itself is capable of tearing your own body apart, which is what their father specifically said. He said you have to don it even if it tears your body apart. So gross. It looks gross and painful and fucked, and yeah. So, but that I think is important to convey the measure of Kakugo's resolve, right? Because he's willing to go through this specifically because he believes so much in using the zero power to protect people weaker than himself. He believes that if he's strong enough to handle that he should use it for the people who aren't, which is, the ne plus ultra of nobility. It's pure good. He's such a pure good guy. So anyway, we get back to the modern time. We see some students sitting around by a river wishing that they had girlfriends. And these guys are clearly fodder, right?
Oh, dude.
Super ugly. Yeah. Long noses, like 3 feet long. I swear to God.
Yeah. Super ugly, real fucking dumb voices. Duh. I wish that I kissed a girl one time. Like that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then this blue-haired girl named Megumi.
In a nurse outfit with no panties.
A nurse outfit. She's wearing garters with no panties. And she rolls up and she flops against a rock. And she's like, oh, you poor boys. Like, you poor boys. You've never felt the touch of a woman before. Like, let me help you. Let me give you pleasure. And she's like swinging her ass back and forth. And these guys, like, their horniness is conveyed with where they stick their tongues out and their tongues waggle around like dicks with condoms on them. What the fuck?
Yep, it's true.
Yeah, they get a boner out their mouth.
Yeah, it was like Tom and Jerry when like his tongue just rolls out. Tom's tongue just rolls out to the floor like a red carpet. But instead of that, it was just a big cock.
It's like, like the Tex Avery wolf sitting at the table watching the girl sing. And he's like, oh,
yeah,
and it's like fucking sticks, but it's a penis.
Very, very Japanese.
Yeah, so really, truly insane. So she brings them to a little secluded area, and she has one of the guys touch her down there, and he thinks it's great at first, but pretty soon his arm gets pulled in all the way up to the elbow, and when he pulls it out, his flesh is gone.
He's like, whoa, God. It's like it's sucking me in.
Yeah.
And he's like fucking elbow deep before he pulls it out, and it's just degloved.
Classic first time, to be honest, but anyway.
Yeah, could be me.
We don't see what happens to those guys, but we assume that it went as bad as we can possibly imagine.
It zooms out and they're just screaming and you can hear like flesh ripping a little bit. So they got fucked up by that tooth vagina.
Vagina dentata, classic. Kakugo is hanging out at his apartment. Yeah, I think that's where that came from. It means everything's going to be all right, right? Yeah, when you find teeth down there, you're just supposed to remind yourself everything's going to be all right. Kakugo is hanging out at his apartment, and all his classmates come to visit, including the alpha dude, who was a big dickhead to him, but he seems to be cooler with him now that he knows that Kakugo isn't just a pussy. He's just too strong to have beaten the shit out of him earlier, right? Because if Kakugo actually fought back when he was getting beat up during his first day at school, the dude would have been pulp. So he's cool with Kakugo now, and he's cool with Horia hanging out with him. So she shows up. They all say hi. When Megumi stumbles up to his door, and she's got her dress all torn up and stuff, and she's like, oh, some men tried to hurt me, blah, blah, blah. And Kakugo picks her up and says, come inside, I'll take care of you. And Horia says, oh, I'll run and fetch a doctor. And everybody's like, no, it's too dangerous to go alone. We'll go with you. So they all take off.
Everybody goes with her. It's like,
which
I'll go with you. No, I will too. Me as well. And that's actually fucking.
Yeah, but that's normal, right? Because every time that you see the students, they're always out in a group. You even see them holding you see them holding big wooden signs that say like 1B, which is their class designation. Because going between home and school, there's always a chance of getting attacked by, like a fucking roach the size of your gluteus maximus. Yeah. So
for real.
So they always travel in groups. So that part's not actually abnormal. And they know that Kakugo is very competent and they don't really need to hang around to protect him.
Yeah, fair.
So he sees them off outside, and then he goes back in, and this is my favorite scene where Megumi is stripped down to her panties, and she's sitting on his kitchen counter, like posing all sexy, and like the way that they go into how seductive she's being with the detail and the animation of her expression is so fucking funny.
It's like,
And
I haven't seen that. I've seen enough hentai to know that doesn't exist in normal adult rated Japanese films.
Of
that
course
was some
not.
high quality animation.
It's so exaggerated and detailed, and she's saying like, "Oh, how sad you have to sleep with that that sad cold piece of armor every night. Like, let me love you and take care of you." And she's
that
like,
was so twisted,
so twisted. And so he just strides up to her and deals a Snoop Dogg level bitch slap. Like knocks her completely to the floor. She bounces on her ass.
So hard.
Yes. And his expression is like unchanging, stony all the time. And he says, "Hasn't anybody ever told you that it's impolite to sit where you prepare your food?" And then he turns around. He turns around as tears are welling up in her eyes and walks outside and says, "You should be ashamed of yourself," and close the door on her.
Fucking nuts, dude.
So alpha. She was so taken aback by that reaction.
I would have been moist if that were me.
Bro, this is in my top 10 anime scenes of all time. That just movies in general, actually. This is one of my favorite things that's ever happened in the world.
That's
Absolutely.
so ridiculous.
It is so out of control and silly, but it completely it shows that Kakugo is.
He ain't about no bitch.
No,
dude.
he's unshakable. Absolutely unshakable. Yeah. Nothing can touch his resolve. Except for we actually get a little bit of hint at what might be a weakness of his, but only a little bit later.
Ooh.
Only a little bit later. For now, no, shaking titties in his face, absolutely zero effect. He deflects it completely.
Cleaning his desk though.
Well, exactly. That's the thing. It comes off a little bit differently when it comes from somebody like Horia. It's that big red ribbon, man.
She's got it's in her name. She's a whore. Yeah.
Oh, come on. Don't, man. Hey. Don't say that about Horia. Don't say that about Horia.
Well.
The joke is obvious. I thought about it too. I'm not going to lie. But don't say that about her. She's a good girl. She's so sweet.
I bet she is, dude.
Horia is very cute, right?
No, she's extremely pure in the show.
Yes, they draw her as so cute. She's always singing a song about how her red ribbon makes her happy, and she has a bright outlook.
She's prancing around, singing about that shit, going through Fallout New Vegas. It's fucking insane. Almost Delulu, manic pixie girl type shit.
But she is down to earth because she's aware of what's going on, and she is not easily tricked by anybody ever. So she has her feet on the ground. Her head isn't truly in the clouds. She just honestly is that optimistic and lighthearted. And it's just absurd how good of a girl they make her. But that does make sense. We'll explain why later. You mentioned the desk cleaning scene. We'll get there in a minute. While Kaku goes outside his apartment, all this smoke starts coming out. He bursts in, and this chick is exhaling all this smoke, which she calls... I don't remember. Some kind of
love scent.
Yeah, mist of seduction or something.
Yeah.
So she's trying to get him horny. He's not having it at all. So she transforms into her tactical evil form, which is definitely...
This would be a good time to mention that this podcast is sponsored by Blue Chew. Get 10% off if you enter the code fuck yourself.
Sure. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, never mind.
Blue Chew is like a what is it, Isaac?
It's like generic Viagra that every podcast is sponsored by at some point.
Yeah, like Viagra.
Okay, all right. Not a bad joke.
Cool.
Not a bad joke. It's my fault that it didn't go well.
Your kids are gonna love it though.
Yes.
once you have some after you buy some Blue Chew, let's go, baby.
All right. Let's get it under control. Just because we're talking about gross, horny shit, we don't need to take it that far. Jesus Christ, man. Okay,
it's fine. This podcast is
Kakugo.
sponsored by Dark Eyes Vodka Specialty Spirit.
No, you can tell, right? She transforms, and she looks even more hideous than the last two tactical evils that Kakugo fought. She's basically like a big bearded man's face with arms and legs, and her boobs become like long extendable tentacle weapons. Kakugo, man, he dodge rolls out of the way past her and grabs his zero armor and fuses with it, and then kicks her out of his apartment. And so she's down kind of in the street in the middle of all these apartments, and the zero system.
Everybody's seen those kind of hotels or the motels where it's like a big square U shape and there's like just a courtyard in the middle or a parking lot.
That's what mine looks like. It's two big long buildings with a parking lot in the center. So
yeah, it was that kind of thing. Everybody, yeah,
you know what it's like. And she gets knocked down there, and the Zero suit actually speaks to him. Which the way that this always happens is kind of cool. It shows him sort of like superimposed against a wall of ghostly, wavering skulls to represent the souls of the soldiers that are infused with the armor. Right?
Soldiers.
Yeah. Hey, good
one,
Soldier.
Soldiers.
Actually, I'll plug that game. You want a really challenging Metroidvania, Soldier, Souldier. Cool game, check it. It tells him that he shouldn't use. Is this the time that I can't remember for sure. Sometimes it breaks in and gives him tactical advice. I think maybe this one he comes up with it on his own, but he says that he doesn't want to use. Go ahead.
It definitely tells him that a certain mechanism will either cause too much. No, he acknowledged himself that like a certain type of explosion would cause too much corpse debris to fly around.
Right.
But the spirits do say that like something else will work better.
They tell him. It's actually a little bit later. Yes, it tells him later because he realizes that he can't blow it up because the debris will hurt people in the surrounding apartments. And he says he can't use chemical weapons either because of the collateral damage, which, by the way, the Zero suit is equipped with chemical weaponry. That's a war crime. This thing is a walking war. It's like if you built the Iron Man suit and purposely broke every rule in the Geneva Convention.
Speaking of which, why didn't they just equip Iron Man's suit with like some fucking chemtrail technology? What's up with that?
I think it's
his
because
first design had a flamethrower.
Well, that's not illegal. You can still use flamethrowers in war, but you cannot use chemical weapons. After World War I, which if you guys haven't heard Dan Carlin's Hardcore History series on World War I, check it out and learn about chlorine gas bombs. Good shit.
Oh man, I was gonna say you could just douse people with gasoline and then throw a match.
That's not as effective as chemicals designed to just like rupture your blood vessels.
Chlorine, is that it?
Yeah, it works super well. And Japan had Aum Shinrikyo in the 90s. The sarin gas attacks in the subway. Did you guys ever hear about that?
I thought he produced like Jet Set Radio. Mr. Rikyo? Aum Shinrikyo?
Hideki something else. Different guy.
Oh man, Hideki cover.
I don't know if I get that, but I'm gonna assume it's good.
Cover.
Oh, yeah, gotcha. Right. Yes, very good with the chemical weapons. Still doesn't help. Because of the way that gas spreads. So anyway, I just thought it was funny that he has dangerous chemical weapons built into the Zero suit. He cuts her tits off.
The weapons are shown before with the this kind of spray he does.
He does have an anesthetic spray, right? Yeah.
Anesthetic, yeah.
Yeah.
Which doesn't work.
That was so pitiful. That looked like a fucking Mega Man upgrade that I would never fucking use. It was just like, and then he shot out just a slow falling spore pile.
Yeah.
Who the fuck would ever use that except for that specific situation? When you got a monster unconscious that's going to blow up if you don't put it to sleep.
The thing is that he's intentionally not killing unless he needs to, right?
Yeah.
which is to demonstrate that he knows that the zero that the zero abilities are not for destroying. He's only using them to the extent that he needs to protect people. And to that extent, he slices Megumi's boobs off, and they flop to the ground, and she picks them back up and sticks them onto her body. Fucking horrific. Fucking
like
horrific
a Lego
to
piece
watch.
or something.
Yes. And so he realizes that she's like a starfish that can regrow its limbs. And so this is actually when the Zero Suit talks to him and tells him that he just needs to grind her into super fine pieces. So he waits until she tries to body slam him, and then he once again dodge rolls out of the way, jumps up behind her, lands on her back, and then he opens up these rocket thrusters on the back of his suit and fucking Devil May Cry style surfs her down the street while she's ground into chunks.
Yeah, she became a meat brand, dude.
Fucking
that shit was gnarly.
Awesome. I love that move.
Pretty fucking dope.
Yeah, cool scene.
It's so cool. My favorite move in all fighting game history is in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, where you can play as Jin, and he has a specific, I don't remember if it's a command grab or just one of his standard grabs, but once you catch somebody, he's got a move where he dashes all the way to the side of the screen, and instead of just slamming them into the edge of the screen like you'd expect a normal dash to do, he dashes up the side of the screen, across the top of the screen, down the other side, and then back again to slam him into the ground. And that's what this reminded me of. This is just like this awesome rocket dash scraping somebody against the ground until they die. So anyway,
disgusting.
She's super dead. We have the final tactical evil now shows up. And this one attacks the school directly. This is a nasty, big-headed old man with a mummified penis, and his saliva
it's just up in wraps. Yeah, it looks like it was like in a burn. It looks like he stuck it in a pot of boiling oil and
or
had to get
toaster.
It, like, wrapped up. Well, tomato, Ray Romano. Like it was fucking coiled up with some gauze.
Yeah.
I think it's just because he fucks too many people. Like
that is also what I thought when he was called in by the other brother's name, the evil one,
Harara.
Yeah, I thought Harara brought him in as like some fuck slave because he was just like a crepid dude who bitched about crawling up all these stairs to his kingdom,
right?
His palace, and then his dick was all wrapped up with gauze, and it's like. Yeah, are you sore from like being used too much, brother? Like, blink twice if you need help.
Now he's not so far. All the tactical evils, their mutations and the powers that they're given through it seem to be predicated on some kind of sexual perversion, right? Some kind of like overdose of sexuality to some degree or another.
We didn't even cover how one of the forms of the first lady that ripped the face off of that poor boy and consumed and squished that poor girl, while she was fighting Zero, he used some sort of like shockwave move that just made her tingle all over and like borderline ejaculate. And he was like, "That's not effective," and she was just withering with pleasure.
No, that was Megumi. That was Megumi. He hits her with his impact shock, and she just quivers, and she says, "Oh, I didn't know you were into S&M, but you can hurt me as much as you want."
Okay, right. Yeah, that was fucking nuts, dude. A sadomasochism reference in a 1990-something anime. I came almost twice. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it was hot stuff. So she definitely represents like hypersexuality, right? And
they all kind of do because again, well, this might be jumping the gun, but the next the second monster that showed up that looked like a short stubby frog that had a huge penis tongue. He wrapped his tongue around Zero and was also like just fucking shaking in pleasure because he could feel Zero's heartbeat through his penis.
No, you're getting confused. That's this guy we're talking about, the old man. That's this guy.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah. Which we'll get to now.
Oh shit. Okay.
That guy you're thinking of, the leather daddy, wrapped his tongue plant thing around Zero, and then pulled his penis off and sung into it like a microphone. So
that's right. Okay.
Yeah,
There's a lot of rapping and penis involved.
Yes,
in this
there is. Yes, there is a lot of prehensile penises. Yes, very much. So here's my interpretation.
Okay.
The first tactical evil is based on what do you call it when you desire like an ownership of a person?
Possessiveness?
Yes, possessive love, possessive romance.
Yeah.
Because she consumes. Controlling, because she wants to completely subsume the people that she loves, and she ends up like barfing them out as skeletons to show what she's done to them. So there's that. Yeah. Then the second guy, I think that what his type of sexual overdrive would be like basically attention whoring, to put it most simply and colloquially, because he wants to be like a rock star too, and like push what he considers his individuality on people. Remember when he's singing and all his students are like covering their ears saying this song is so terrible. So he's one that wants to like push his predilections on people. And that's a perversion in and of itself. The third one, Megami, is somebody that, you know, can never really be fulfilled by the people that she wants to love, or that she pretends to love. And that's even illustrated in the way that she can get damaged and just like put herself back together, because there's really nothing to her. All she wants to do is take.
Yeah,
right?
She can never really be broken.
Right. And now this guy, this weird old pervy man, he's just a straight perv, because the only thing that he talks about when it comes to anything that can be construed as sexually is peeping on girls, high school girls specifically in swimsuits. That really gets him. And then he talks about how good his penis feels. So he doesn't actually want anybody. He wants pleasure for himself. So he's like the gooner, right?
Hedonistic.
Yeah.
The gooner.
I'm just saying, man, these kinds of things hold up today. We can apply modern descriptors.
He was definitely gooning to those 17-year-old swimmers.
I don't even think they were 17. I think they're way younger.
I can't blame them.
Yeah.
We can't say stuff like that. One of the girls does have her tit out, and she has a hairpin through her nipple, and I guess she's just showing it off because she thinks it's cool.
Yeah, and if you can get a nipple piercing, you've got to be at least 18. I'm pretty sure that's the law.
Sure, we're gonna say that that's what it is because we were looking at her naked boob. They never explicate, but anyway, they're all taking a bath in infrared bathed water, which I guess is good for keeping away the radiation of Tokyo.
And infrared a day keeps the radiation away.
You've heard it all your life.
Everybody has.
Yeah, we all know. Then this old man climbs up onto the glass ceiling of the pool house and drops in. And Kakugo steps in the way to fight him, but he doesn't have his Zero suit handy. But we do see that he's got these iron spheres embedded all over his body. I think it's 7 different spheres, and they're kind of like in his shoulder and his chest and his thigh and his back.
It's like all around his right side, like one in his shoulder, like 2 in his chest area, 1 in his stomach, 1 near the groin, and then like maybe a couple on his leg.
Yeah.
Some on his inner thigh.
Looks very painful because I'm sure it is. But what we find out is that what he can do is basically liquefy these iron balls and like subsume them into his blood and turn his body into metal, which the narrator specifically tells us gives him a 56% boost in defense. So it's basically like grabbing the chest armor in Mega Man X.
It reduces damage by 56%.
Yeah, exactly what he says. So the dude is the old man is spitting stuff at him, which turns into these blades that are apparently traveling. Well, he actually specifies that they have the power of a magnum. Right, so like
that's true. They were like saliva that solidified into weaponry with the power of a magnum bullet. Yeah.
So 45 caliber shots hitting him. He's able to tank them, but he's still getting hurt, and he gets blasted out the wall.
Getting shot by a 22, dude. Like, oh, fuck me.
Yeah, it's still going to go through your body, but they're bouncing off of him up to a point. He eventually starts getting hurt, and he's cut and bleeding. as he's outside the school where all the students have evacuated, and they see him struggling. So a couple of the students grab his suitcase, which they guess is where the Zero armor is hidden, and they struggle to get it to him. And that's when the alpha dude makes his face turn right. He picks it up and runs it over to Zero and drops it next to him, and or Kakugo, sorry. They use Zero and Kakugo interchangeably, but it's only Zero when he has a suit on. So Kakugo tells him to get away because it's too dangerous. And so the guy turns around to run, and he gets shot, and his side gets split open by one of these spit bullets, that's cool. We have another thing, just like we saw in Gone Zero, a dude who's kind of useless, but just for his bravery.
We have a guest. We have a guest.
Yeah, let's introduce our guest, Train. Yeah, Chessie
Train.
Systems.
What's up, Train? Just came by to say hi real quick.
Thanks for stopping by. We'll have a guest spot for him later on, I'm sure.
Yeah. After this podcast, we're gonna have Train on the podcast.
After this podcast that he's on, we're gonna have him on.
Yeah, long train.
He's always waiting outside. So anyway, Kakugo grabs the Zero suit, puts it on, and at this point, he's more than capable of beating the fuck out of this guy, it looks like, right? But the old man unwraps his penis. He takes the mummification wrap off, and it's a dragon head with 2 balls that are on extendable prehensile tentacles, which is, pretty normal. If you've ever seen an old man's penis, that's basically what it looks like.
Yeah. They'll hang past their kneecaps.
So he shoots his penis and balls out, and they wrap around Kakugo.
You don't
and
even have to have your balls. Pause. You don't even have to have your balls anymore. Once you turn like 80, 90, they just slap their where their nipples is, assuming that your old lady's hanger is sagged that low. And so if you get the rhythm right, your balls will swing forward while her tits swing backward, and they'll collide. And that stimulation enough will make your old lady come.
Yeah, and if you've got the extra dangly ones, you can kind of swing them up while rotating your body and get them in like a bola that wraps around her neck. And then as you pull back every time, it chokes her a little bit, which is what really does it. Yeah.
Oh, at this point, you probably got cancer by the time you're that old. She's got no hair. You got no pigtails to grab onto. Grab your balls.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's what came to mind first, actually. So yeah. I'm glad we got there. But it's at this point that the old man says that he can feel Kakugo's heartbeat through his penis and how much he loves it. So that's why I say this guy is the gooner, because all he's thinking about is how good his dick feels. Which is sad and gross.
There's never any ejaculation from the old man, which is unfortunate.
That's not true. His dragon-headed penis spits solidifying bullets as well. So is that cum?
What is it solidifying? Probably cum, yeah.
That's pre. You would have known if that old man came.
Well, you'd think so. Sometimes it just dribbles. Yeah,
at that age. But I mean, you don't with your balls.
Yeah, good point. I'm glad we brought that back up. Anyway, Kakugo just powers up and blows his dick off. And that's when Harara, who's been watching this whole thing, says, hang on, I wrote it down specifically what she says. Without his dick, there's no way he can beat Kakugo.
Oh yeah, she had like a camera in his eyeballs, and she was like, periscope. He was periscoping the whole thing while fighting.
Yeah, she's watching it through VR. And speaking of VR, then she gets into some kind of system that allows her to take over control of his body, and so she assumes control of the old man. And
how the fuck? Wait a minute. So, they were both given suits at the beginning. And she just like demonized her suit that wasn't Zero, but whatever her name suit was.
Kasumi.
She just Kasumi? How the fuck did she blend Kasumi and this Kasumi atrocity together?
So what really happened was that she recognized how much power Kasumi could give her, and decided that it would be better used to kill off the beings that created something like Kasumi because of the anguish that was involved in Cosme's creation. Because remember, it's a bunch of trapped souls of killed soldiers. And she was so horrified by that, she was not able to integrate the purpose that those soldiers died for. She didn't think it was an honorable thing. Yeah.
Okay, that was something I don't think it was mentioned, is that the Zero's suit only selected him because they deemed him worthy, right?
Yes.
So she was obviously not deemed worthy of.
So she can still wear Cosme, but I think it's more implied that she just overpowered Cosme rather than integrated like at the same level, which in the final battle of the manga becomes a little bit more clear that the fortified armor shells don't even matter because Kakugo actually defeats her with Cosme bare naked.
Shit.
Yeah. So it's Kakugo's inner resolve that actually gives him the power, not the Zero suit.
Of course.
Yeah.
Dude, y'all ever jerk off to Zero Suit Samus in Super Smash Bros. Melee?
Definitely. Anyway, the transformation that overcomes the old man is pretty cool. It kind of is like a Super Saiyan transformation where his hair gets all stuck out in spikes and he's got eyeshadow now like Harara wears. And it's much stronger. Like the old man's capable of using Harara's spiral zero techniques. So it's like splitting trees apart and stuff. And so they go at it for...
It was no longer... it was Harara at that point. As soon as he took over, or as soon as she took over, that demon was, whatever they called it. Fuck, what was the term? I feel like those
a tactical evil.
Tactical evil.
Yeah, it was no longer that tactical evil was dead. She took over that entity, consciousness and all.
Yeah, and they
fucking crazy.
Yes, and they make it clear that it's a dead body. Because in a second we'll explain, Harara jumps into the middle of all the students and says, because the old man is speaking, Harara's voice is coming through the old man's body, and says something like, "Look at all these weeds, they're disgusting, and I'm going to root out every disgusting thing in this world." And Kakugo comes back with, "You mistake flowers for weeds."
Yeah,
So
no,
cool.
She didn't even use the weed analogy. She just called them like disgusting, like not even a plant reference, but the plant thing was pretty obvious with what their dad said about like you mistake a flower growing for a birch tree or like a
no. He says that
tree.
No, he says that their zero power is like a lone blossom on the peak of a frozen mountain.
Yeah, but it was like a maple tree blossom. So it wasn't like just a plant. It wasn't a flower. He was saying like your comparison of a flower is like a maple tree on the tip of a frozen mountain where it shouldn't grow. It was like a plant to a tree, which was awesome to me. Like your little flower, your little fucking like whatever, name your favorite flower, your whatever. It doesn't even compare to the giant tree that grows where it shouldn't.
Sure, I think he was trying to reference how deep the roots are of this project, and
sure,
and how firmly implanted it is, and it can't be moved, or you'll destroy it by trying to take it to another place and use it for another reason. What's y'all's favorite flower? Mine's a pansy.
I like dandelions a lot. Dandelions are dope. I don't know
underrated.
If that's a flower.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, nice. I like dandelions.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the. I'm going to go with the classic rose. Of course.
Yeah, roses are beautiful. Such a variety of colors too.
Definitely.
But
this is for camera viewers only. You see this shit?
Those are flowers.
Lilies.
Are these lilies? Okay, I'm not sure but they're growing from a fucking onion.
Oh.
They're growing from an onion that they were planted inside, and there's still. This has died like twice, and there's still
Oh, it's got a
plumes
bud on it.
or like buds. Yeah, multiple buds. These are all brand new as well. This was dead for a
Wow.
minute, and it just keeps
How
growing
weird.
from this. I don't have to water it. I don't have to do nothing. It's just growing from an onion that it was planted inside.
You've got a genetically modified tactical evil growing in your apartment right there. That's some
Yeah.
Resident Evil shit. I don't know what the hell
I
that
have-
thing is.
You know what? I asked my girlfriend to bring over some like cleansing stuff to my apartment because I have woken up to the sound of evil behind me, and I have felt things touch my leg when there's nobody behind me. This place needs cleansed. And if this is resonating evil, I'll throw it away.
Oh, don't throw it away. I think it's nice, but you definitely have ghosts in there. So
I agree, dude. Fuck.
yeah. Anyway, we're almost at the end here. We've got during this segment we've got a flashback that shows that as soon as Harara and Kakugo's training was over, their father told them he asked them what the vow of the Zero Power was. Kakugo answered that it was to protect those without fangs, right? So to defend the people who couldn't fight back against oppression. And Harara says that it's for exterminating evil, which is twisted because he has no concept of what evil is, being possessed by demons himself, which the father points out with the change that overcomes Harara's eyes. They become slitted pupils. And so Harara challenges the father to a fight and absolutely murders him, blows his shit completely up, and turns the snow all bloody after pointing out that that's exactly what he's going to do in a pretty icy line. Declares that humans are the enemy. Kakugo tries to avenge the father, and that's when he gets owned and almost pukes up his guts, literally, and gets thrown off a cliff. That memory motivates him, and he gets up, and he says, I didn't write it down exactly, but what he said was something to the effect of, don't let the anger enter your mind, push it to your legs to make yourself stand. And so he gets back up.
Oh, yeah.
And he launches off and one-shots the old man, punches a hole through his head. And that affects Harara because of the way their nervous systems are integrated with this magical device, I guess. And
the old crippled priest that was with her actual body, while she was like controlling that tactical evil's corpse.
Yeah,
he
kind
said,
of an advisor.
Yeah, he pre-warned her that like this tactical evil's body is old. It has rigor mortis, and any pain that he feels, she's gonna feel too. And she took that risk and then got her ass whooped.
Yeah, because Harara was excited by that because
she was like, finally a level playing field.
Right,
But,
because Harara's gotten bored with just murdering people. They actually are to the point where murdering is boring, so they want somebody who's challenging to kill.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, pretty disgusting. But here we do see
a challenge.
Well, Harara lost, but we do see the split here. There's that once again mirrors the same concept in Demon City Shinjuku, where both Revi-Ra and Genichiro, I think was his name, learned Nenpo, and Genichiro vowed to keep Nenpo pure and use it for protecting people and for defeating actual evil, whereas Revi-Ra saw the opportunity to gain more power for himself and literally became possessed by demons. And that was the consequence. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, that's it. Kakugo absolutely blows the old man to pieces and then says, "My body is a sword to protect the innocent." It's just like every single time he has to explicate exactly what his motivation is and how good he is at it. So yeah, and that was the conclusion.
Yeah.
So yeah, what was this movie trying to convey, and how well did it convey it, Isaac?
What was it trying to convey? Fuck it, dude. Fuck if I know. People are the best. Human race will dominate any aliens that invade us, despite what Joe Rogan says. Despite what Area 51 is not hiding, because they really have all their aliens tucked away elsewhere. Area 51 is just a fucking ruse.
Yeah, they're all in Hollywood, right?
They're actually Tom Cruise, Tom Segura, Tom Brady, and the other Tom that lives on your street that you just don't talk to that much, but you know he's a kind of a weirdo.
Yeah, if you
Kill
know a
him,
Tom,
dude.
don't do that, but definitely grab a hold of their face and pull.
Yeah, pull real hard. Make sure
see if it comes off. See if it comes off when there's a lizard underneath there. Jake, how well do you reckon this? What do you reckon this movie was trying to convey, and how well did it do it?
Convey is a weird word to describe. What was it trying to convey? Definitely the relationship of two brothers that grew up in the same circumstances but had differing motives.
Cain and Abel shit, right?
Right, yeah. And I think it did it pretty fucking well because it was it was pretty cool. And it was good writing, good characters.
Yeah, and it showed once again what evil really is, which is not really somebody deciding to be evil, but just becoming blinded to what they actually started off trying to do and going down a path that they almost had no control over because of some kind of bitterness or hatred, and they get completely consumed by their desires, right?
Yeah.
So not thinking clearly, not making smart decisions about anything, still gaining a lot of followers and a lot of power, but naturally eventually succumbing to somebody who stayed true to the path of the power that they set off to gain, not for personal benefit, but to use it for selfless purposes, service to others instead of service to self. Same thing with Demon City Shinjuku. Although this was a lot wilder, I gotta say, overall, I'm not confused at all because this OVA was not received well. It was considered dumb and
it had like a 5 out of 10.
Yes, very, very poorly received, which I'm not confused by at all because of how a lot of people are just conditioned to receive media. But casting all that aside and just taking it for what it is an 11 out of 10 because of the just for the absolute insanity of what the artists were willing to portray and showing how disgusting and horrific a world this really is and what it means to stay true to oneself and what one has vowed to do in that. It makes you an outstanding hero archetype. Like he's Kakugo is, we talked about how Kato in Gauntlet Zero was such a purely good guy, but Kakugo takes it to the next level of a Superman-like resolve and dedication, which is an extremely Japanese thing with his practically Bushido embodied, right?
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Very good.
Yeah, I love it. Me and Jake were talking a little bit about whether or not we would want one of the Zero suits. And I'm going to say, considering what you had to go through to get it, I'll throw it out there. I would not pass. I would not make it.
Yeah, as soon as I saw that scene, I think I changed my mind.
Yeah, I would not be
accepted.
accepted.
I don't think I could do that trial.
Nope. The training required to get to that point, I'm not cut out for. But as you're watching him, just like open up rocket boosters on his back and surf a monster down the street until it's ground into gravy is so fucking sick. You're just like, man, I wish that I could do that. That's so cool.
Yeah, if I could get one for free, it would be like that'd be the thing I'd do.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Fuck. No, I couldn't.
Or just eat shots from a Magnum and shrug them off. That's too cool. Too cool. Anyway, yeah. So good movie. Cool movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah, right on. I would easily give it just because of how excited it got me with how Zero always makes like a badass pose and says some killer one-liner after he kills a monster.
Pose
and he looks so cool.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I would say 7 heads of lettuce.
Yeah.
Thrown at a clown.
for sure.
I'll give it a
I'll give
6
it
out of
7.
6 boobs.
Oh, dude, that's 3 bitches. What? I would
No,
give
that's
it-
the monster he fought first.
Yeah, that the missing 0.4 are the parts of Megumi's boobs that got sliced off.
Right.
Yeah, I would give it 7 out of 7. 7 out of 7 tomatoes that I would keep in my fridge for a week.
Oh, fridge
then-
tomatoes.
Yeah, just fridge tomatoes.
Slice them up and put them in a ham salad or a chicken sandwich. Breaded
Easily.
chicken sandwich. I'm so hungry. All right.
Oh,
Well, I guess.
man.
Yeah, I guess we'll call it. We'll do the normal thing. Jake has music out that you can find. Search Terra Bond on Bandcamp, and Isaac, you can find his stuff by searching Get Six. He's on all the major platforms, and we'll have some stuff coming out soon. Older
Of
stuff.
course, always.
Yeah, that my music is out there under Skew Composite, and then you can find all of our stuff. Also, you just search No Uncertain Terms Productions. We've got a link tree with all the stuff up. Nutprod.com is coming up. If not now, should be out by now. We're recording this a little bit in the future, but it should be up by now. You can find this stuff
Fucking
that
go.
we have up there. Everything on YouTube, music, and this podcast specifically. Follow it to keep on track. And also, you find some T-shirts and hoodies that I designed. Pick that stuff up, and then
Buy it.
Buy those.
definitely. What?
Buy those.
Yes, do. Rock it. Tell people. Tell people. And if you don't do any of that, just tell people. Tell people what you're listening to. Tell people what you like. If it happens to be anything that we did, just spread it. Spread it, maybe like butter. And while you do that, keep in mind, it ain't my tragedy. And fuck on and live.
Fuck on and live.